welcome back to the Cash vs. Trash podcast with your hosts Rob and
Demi, where we watch the highest and lowest grossing movie of each year from 1970 to 2021, picked at random, then decide if they deserve the title of either Cash or Trash.
That's right, and I'm sure you've seen the title of this episode and you're probably thinking what we've been thinking all week. Oh my god. We're tackling a Star Wars movie.
Yes, we are.
Not only a Star Wars movie, the
Star
original
Wars.
Star Wars movie. The Star Wars.
Yeah.
As it was originally called. It was released as just Star Wars. I don't know why I said it like that. Star Wars. But as it was changed in 1981, which I didn't know. I thought it was changed as of the prequels, which probably gives away our age straight away. Or my age, anyway. Anyway, Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. An action-adventure fantasy sci-fi from 1977, and obviously the highest-grossing film of that year.
Yeah.
And worldwide.
Yep.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
everybody knows Star Wars. Even people who, like, we'll get into it, like you,
Yeah.
who don't really know Star Wars, know Star Wars.
Yeah, I hadn't really watched the movies. I think I watched one with you in cinema.
Ooh, a couple. We watched a couple.
One or two, and then, but yeah, I watched the OG.
Yeah, I got you
first
right
time.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know that your family is a little bit anti-Star Wars.
They just had a bad experience around it.
Yeah, well, do you want to talk about that?
No.
No. Okay.
Let's not get into family drama.
Oh, it's nothing that bad. But
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Back to Star Wars, proper, starring Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker.
You might know him as the voice of Joker in the Batman animated series. And he was also the voice of Skips in regular show.
And like a million other things. He
mainly voice acting.
Yeah, he went into a lot of voice acting. He was the voice of Joker in like a lot of stuff. He started off in the Batman animated series, and then it was like just all over the place. And he's probably like the definitive voice of the Joker. And a lot of other voice actors, sort of emulate that.
Yeah.
When they do their voice a lot of the time. But he went into mostly voice acting stuff and just being Luke Skywalker and, yeah. Harrison Ford as Han Solo.
He is known for Indiana Jones, Blade Runner, and The Fugitive.
I added the Fugitive this morning. Anyway, he's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
What else do we say? Like, probably definitely one of the most famous people ever. His face has been everywhere. He's been in a million movies.
I knew him as Indiana Jones before I knew him as in Star Wars.
I almost reckon Indiana Jones is his most famous character.
Yeah. Well, because he's like the main guy.
Yeah.
In those movies.
Like Han Solo, yeah, but I always knew him more as Indiana Jones as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a cooler character,
Yeah.
I think.
More
That's
memorable.
controversial, but I think that Indiana Jones is cooler than Han Solo.
Yeah, me too.
Just stoking the fire. Everything we say, doesn't matter if we say something good or bad, somebody's gonna hate
have a
it.
problem.
Yeah, Star Wars fans, man. I'm one of them. Don't get me wrong. I've shit the bed plenty of times over stupid things. Carrie Fisher. I think it's Carrie. I've never heard it
I think it's
said
Carrie.
the same way twice.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher, rest in peace as Princess Leia.
Yep. She was the voice of Angela in Family Guy, but she mostly went into writing and producing.
Yeah, she went away from the acting side of it very early on.
Yeah.
I think she just popped up all over the place. The only one who really committed hard to acting for his career was
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford. Yeah, the other two of the main trio
Yeah.
went into other things.
But obviously they were in a lot of Star Wars movies
Yeah.
as well. So
Yes,
like
yeah.
that was their main thing, and then they just did little things.
Yeah,
on
I
the
think that
side.
all three of them wanted to get away, not like get away from it,
Just branch out.
but to be like, that's not all that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially Harrison Ford. He fucking hates Star Wars.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think he hates it. Like, obviously it thrust him into stardom, but like he's done so many other things that, and when all that people ever talk to you about is something that you did like 40 years ago,
Yeah.
you're
fair
gonna
enough.
get pissed off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, there's nothing that we can say in this episode that people haven't heard before. This movie has been done to death.
Yeah. For sure.
Understandably so. Anyway, written and directed by one George Lucas, known for
Star Wars.
creating Star Wars and forever altering the world. Like, this movie on its own, like, if you just take it as just one movie, it's probably the most influential movie of all time.
Yeah.
And I'm not just saying that as, like, a fan.
Yeah.
Like, you just... And maybe there were other examples of, like, this particular, like, storyline. Like, why don't you talk about the budget and stuff like that?
And
then
we'll get into
yeah,
it.
and then we'll
Okay.
get into it.
So the budget was 11 million. It grossed 460 million domestically. Internationally, it grossed 195 million, and a worldwide total of 775 million. Its opening weekend, it made 1.5 million. So adjusted for inflation, that brings it to approximately 1.5 billion.
Yep.
Today.
That's according to thenumbers.com.
Yeah.
We get our info, stats, and all that sort of stuff from boxofficemojo.com, and then we use thenumbers.com to corroborate that, and then maybe some other sources, but, I mean, with this movie, it was all right there.
Yeah, so usually with the older movies, we have trouble finding information on, but this one, it's all there.
Yeah, all... Like, on boxofficemojo.com, it starts at 1977 with this movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that just goes to show how different it was. That
Yeah. It had a 93% Rotten Tomatoes rating with a 96% audience rating.
That checks out. Yeah, no surprise there. You said opening weekend was 1.5 million?
Yeah.
Yeah, word of mouth would have spread pretty quickly after that.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Check this out. This is new and different. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just crazy.
Yeah. So I'll summarize the movie, even though, like, this movie is very famous.
Yeah.
So after finding a pair of droids with urgent info for a hermit living nearby, Luke Skywalker is thrust into a world of adventure. Joined by a selfish smuggler and a precocious princess, Luke must triumph over the evil empire using the Force.
That's about as apt a description as you can get. I mean, I could have, we worked it out together, but we could have, worded that a million different ways and it would have been right every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Star Wars, bro. It's like the definitive hero's journey.
Yeah.
Like, if you just close your eyes, if you're driving, don't close your eyes. And you think of a movie or any story where there's a boy or girl, but, like, it's usually a boy, on a farm or in a location, a mundane location. Their life is mundane. They wish for greater things.
Yeah.
And then very suddenly something incredible, fantastical happens, and they meet an older mentor who teaches them about this new world that they're now a part of, and their old world, or their connection to it, has been severely severed,
Yeah.
for lack of a better word, destroyed. And then along the way they meet, maybe a princess or a woman or girl,
Yeah.
who might or might not be a love interest and is, they travel with them, and then they meet like a cool guy.
A cool rebel dude who
Yeah.
doesn't really care about anything.
And then there's usually like a weird animal
Yeah.
creature that's with them.
Yeah.
Chewbacca. Just in case anybody wasn't sure. And then the mentor dies, at the end of the second act, and then in the third act, they take down not the big bad, but the person who was like upper management, who was like representing their sector, and they take them down, and then they get onto the big, huge scale.
Yeah.
And after that, there's the game is set and it's going to begin.
Yeah.
You've probably thought of about 50 different stories there.
This movie was obviously very influential.
Yeah. It was actually harder to describe that than I thought, but I keep getting hung up because whenever I think about that, the movie that I think of, not the book, for anybody who might get upset, not the book, the movie that I think of when I describe all that is Aragon. It's like, it's pretty much this.
Yeah.
Like that's the first thing that pops to my mind that was clearly influenced, and the book is, the core stuff, and I haven't read that book for a long time, but it definitely isn't the same as Star Wars, but the movie is just like, yeah, it's Star Wars, but with a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking hell, man.
The concept that they made in Star Wars has been done over and over and over again.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
you can tell...
should have just said, lonely farm person meets older person who teaches them, then they die, and then they have a cool friend and a girl friend.
Yeah.
And then they beat upper management, not the actual big bad guy. I just should have just said that.
Oh well, we got there.
No, but I just kept getting hung up on like another movie would just pop into my head that's like, hey, they did this. Oh, and they pretty much like 90% of fantasy stories do it.
Yeah.
They either do that or they do like a Lord of the Rings style, a group of heroes type thing.
Yeah.
But if you've ever seen anything that follows that even remotely, that person has seen Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway. I just felt like I went insane there for a bit. Like I blacked out, and I don't know if it's been hours, and I was just talking and talking.
Not this time.
What? What's that supposed to mean?
Sometimes you talk for hours and hours.
The world needs to hear what I have to say. That's why we started a podcast.
True that.
I think it makes sense though that everyone and everything copies this at least a little bit.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
Like laser swords and rocket laser blasters and spaceships and like robots and stuff. And I know that that's not what they're called in the movies, but like there's heaps of other things.
Basics,
at the basics. Like those are, obviously like they're not called that because that's less cool. You're not going to go, oh, look, that guy's got a laser sword, the weapon of the night, But, well, they do call them Jedi Knights. Anyway, I'm getting hung up on it.
Yeah.
But like these days, the concept and everything that's in the movie, it's like, oh yeah, of course that's going to be successful. That's cool as.
Yeah.
But when this movie came out, there were things like this, but not on this scale, or like this level of like a theatrically released movie. It was, this was the first or one of the first. I can't remember if this came out before or after Jaws. Before, I think. No. Anyway, around the same time, and really like propelled blockbuster filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's why the 80s is... We haven't actually done a movie on from the year from the 80s yet.
Yeah.
But it's all movies like this,
Mm.
except for like one, which is Kramer versus Kramer, I think. Which we'll get into that in that episode.
Yeah.
But sorry.
George Lucas didn't think that this was
Yeah,
going to succeed. Yeah. And went on holiday in Hawaii, missed the opening.
The premiere. Yeah. Him and Steven Spielberg went on holiday to Hawaii, where they came up with the idea for Indiana Jones. Like, so, yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just imagine being like, oh, this, and I mean, all the cast and crew didn't think it was going to work because it's so weird. And it is real weird, this movie.
Yeah.
I think that not a lot of other Star Wars movies get as, like, weird and campy as this. Maybe some bits of Return of the Jedi, but The Empire Strikes Back, from what I remember, is pretty... I can't remember. It's one we'll do an episode on, and so is Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And so is The Last Jedi. It's going to be some interesting comments on that one, I think.
Yeah, so a few Star Wars movies we're going to watch.
Yeah, which we'll try to keep it contained to this movie.
Yeah.
Which will be easier for you than it will be for me. Because watching this, I'm like, oh, that's that. No, that's that. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Oh, yeah. And then I'm like, no, just this movie.
Yeah.
It's very difficult. Like we were saying before, George Lucas didn't think it was going to be successful. Neither did 20th Century Fox. So George Lucas gave up his $500,000 for directing to own the merchandising rights.
Yeah, of Star Wars. Yeah.
Which, oh my God, that's just billions upon billions of dollars on its own.
Yeah.
Probably more than the movies combined make.
Probably.
For just years and years, just every single action figure, every shirt, every licensed product with the Star Wars anything on it.
Yep. He gets the money. Yeah.
I don't know if it's like that now because like it's Disney, but for up until, what was that, like 2013, he sold it to Disney? Around then.
Yeah.
He was just making money doing nothing. And I mean, it's the same now, just less, I imagine. But it was so successful that it completely altered the course of 20th Century Fox's, like, business being alive. You know, they were, I don't know the exact number, but they pretty much doubled their earnings the following year and then just kept that rolling.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, you know, growing up until the last year, 20th Century Fox was one of the biggest production companies around, and now Disney's just swallowed them, metamorphized them just into the blob, just pushed them in, and now they're part of the monopolization of Hollywood.
Yeah.
Just
soon it'll just be called Disney.
I don't know.
Everything.
There's a few different, like Apple and Amazon and Disney, I think. Maybe they have like bigger names, but I don't know. That's just like, and maybe Discovery, which owns Warner Brothers now, the four of them are just gonna meet in the middle of Los Angeles and fight to the death.
Yeah.
Or, you know, beg China to give them money. Who knows? I don't know what else, like, without spoiling it. As if we can do that. Although there were things that you didn't know. But it was mostly stuff that wasn't in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like I don't want to say it, even though who doesn't know it at this point. But no, you know what? I'll stay true and I won't say it. Okay.
The main things I knew about this movie before really watching it was lightsabers, May the 4th. And Jedis. So
all right. Well, I mean, that's all you really need to know, I suppose. That's like
the basic.
That's well, not May the 4th.
I know, but everyone says.
I know, and I don't know when that started. A few years back. It's been going for a while now. Super dumb.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a holiday, but like a thing based around it. Just yeah.
Anyway.
All right. yeah, I guess we'll just go straight into spoilers. Let
Yep.
the music take us.
Mm-hmm.
La 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 la. It's spoiler time. Time for spoilers. Full
Try
spoilers.
and spoil this movie.
Far out. I don't know. Han Solo proves he isn't a total scumbag. And
Try again.
I don't know.
You just can't.
I can't think of it. Everybody knows everything about this movie. But yeah, I'll say that. Han Solo proves he isn't a total scumbag, comes back, saves Luke at the last second, and Vader goes careening off into space as the Death Star explodes.
So he's the only one from the Death Star that survived?
As far as I know, from the original.
Everyone else was inside?
Yeah, the millions of people, presumably, or hundreds of thousands of soldiers and workers just...
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy how there's not even like a moment where Grand Moff Tarkin even realizes what's about to happen. It's just just gone.
Yeah.
And the biggest explosion. I know that the explosion, because we watched it on Disney Plus, which
Maclunkey.
is the infamous Maclunkey cut. But I think that's the only new change. Everything else has been there for like 20 years or so. Except for some stuff with Han Solo. In that scene is the most changed.
Yeah.
That scene and another one. But there were a lot of changes made to this.
Yeah, I couldn't believe how many changes were made.
Yeah, I was. What was it? I read out like there was like 20 something, and I read out about 10, and then I said I'm not going through all of these.
Yeah.
There's so many changes, which is super dumb. I hate it. I hate it. I'm gonna get that right out of the way now. Anybody who's like, oh, that actually fulfills George Lucas's original vision. Shut up. Shut up. Just shut your mouth. All right. You make a movie. And then you put it out to the world, and that is the movie.
Yeah, you don't get to just go, oh, people said something bad about this. Let me change it.
Yeah, the only thing that I disagree, the only time I will change my mind is when it's like a director's cut.
Yeah,
when they go, this is stuff that we already did that we were going to put in the movie, and what I would have done if I had full control, because the directors only have control until the producers get that grubby little fucking mitts on it.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, cool. But to be like, nah, actually, I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to add some CGI in here, and I'm going to do some things here, and I'm going to add Boba Fett, and I'm going to change Jabba the Hutt into the actual Jabba the Hutt. But Han Solo is still going to call him a human being.
Yeah.
It's just like...
It's like, yeah, and there's inconsistencies, because there's that scene where he's talking to Jabba and he says, Jabba, you're a wonderful human being. And it's like, so you change the movie to change Jabba to be a
giant slug creature.
Yeah, but you can't take out the sentence right after that when he calls him a human being.
Yeah. Or you can add in Maclunkey. You can't, you can't fix the way he steps over his tail.
Yeah.
We shouldn't focus too much on it, but we were going to talk about it later, but we thought we might as well get this stuff out of the way. If you're watching the version that we watched, you're going to go, why the hell is this in there? Everyone says this movie's so good, and but why is there Maclunkey just randomly in there? It's because George Lucas is fucking insecure. The Maclunkey one, I don't know if he did that though, because that was only for Disney Plus.
That's so weird.
So I don't know who made that decision. Maybe it's him. Maybe he still has that much power, but why? Why?
Why not just make a movie and deal with it? Because every movie has people hate and love the movie, and every movie there's many people out there who pick it apart.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't get to just take it back and change it.
The Han shot first scene is probably the most argued about scene in Star Wars, other than the sequel trilogy. But like from the original trilogy, that's probably the most argued about thing.
Yeah.
And it's whether or not Han shot first. So George Lucas was like, Han Solo, the greedy, selfish, absolutely would do that smuggler. He wouldn't shoot somebody who was about to murder him. No. He must have shot second, because otherwise he wouldn't be a hero. And then they altered it to make them shoot at the same time.
Yeah.
Or have Greedo shoot first, and then they altered it. I could be wrong here, and somebody's going to tell me I'm wrong. Just interact with the channel, please. And then they altered it so his head jerks to the side.
Yeah, very badly.
Oh, real bad. And now they shoot... Now, Greedo says Maclunkey, and they shoot at the same time, and Han Solo jerks his head to the side.
Yeah.
Instead of shooting him first so that when he shoots it's askew and misses.
Yeah.
Or just that he missed. Like, he's supposed to have a redemption arc. Anyway, this isn't what people saw in 1977. We shouldn't talk about it.
But this is the version we have today. So
yeah, but the whole point of this is to talk about what people saw then and why they liked it then.
Yeah.
And if that shit was in there back then, I think it probably would have actually affected the success.
Yeah, because there is like more than one thing where you're like, what the hell? Yeah.
Maclunkey. Anyway. Back to good stuff. George Lucas created Industrial Lights and Magic, also known as ILM, for this movie.
Yeah.
Just created them.
Just made it.
No, was it 20th Century Fox, like their visual arts division just didn't exist anymore. So he created ILM.
Yeah.
And then they have done a billion things.
Yeah.
Like, I see their name pop up on like every friggin' special effects heavy movie ever.
Yeah.
They did Pirates of the Caribbean. We were talking about the other week.
Yeah.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Like this movie looks awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. For the budget.
Yeah, and the time. It's done really well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much all practical. Like, there's not a lot of trickery going on. I mean, you know, there is some stuff, but it's like a lot of practical stuff, which makes it feel a lot more real. I mean, back then it wasn't like practical or CGI. It was like practical or smoke and mirrors and shit and like matte paintings and stuff. But it just serves the movie a fair bit to have it be very practical heavy.
Yeah.
And you notice that in movies of this vein that CGI heavy, it's just whatever.
Yeah.
You just let it wash over you, which Marvel actually has trouble with that sometimes, I think. You know, you need practical stuff in there to anchor the movie, and because when it's all CGI, it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
When it's like a physical set with a green screen behind it, it really makes a difference.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, it is just a good looking movie for the time.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really cool, and we're not going to go into every special effects. I know that sometimes we'll go, oh, you know, this was good or this was good, but we get bogged down too much in that a lot of the time.
Forever.
Yeah, especially with this movie. Yeah. But one thing that I thought was really cool, and I didn't know this, the speeder effect was real. They did that by driving a modified car thing, and they put a mirror on the side of it.
Yeah.
So they drive it along, and then it looks like it's
just
hovering.
Sand, yeah.
And because they're so far away and it's hot, it just looks like heat waves underneath the speeder.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
That is really cool.
It looks better than, and I know wasn't in the original, when there's the CGI shot of the speeder going along, the practical shot looks better.
Yeah.
It actually, you know, it looks real because it is real.
Yeah.
You know, just like
authentic.
Yeah. actual care went into to making that happen. That's just one thing that I liked.
Yeah,
But
that was really cool.
But it's a very rough, grimy looking movie.
And dirty.
And it serves the movie for the better.
Yeah.
I think it is better because of that. This isn't like it's not like this universe just popped up and this story happened. Like the world feels lived in.
Yeah, it does.
I've got to give credit to George Lucas, even though he definitely came up with the idea to name it Episode 4 later, even though he says otherwise. It does feel like you're just coming into a story, and this is a dirty, grimy world, and all the rebellion parts are like they're dirtier, but even the Empire stuff isn't that clean.
Yeah.
And it's just a lot more realistic. And I'm not going to talk about the later movies. I was going to say, and then that relates to, but no.
We'll keep it
Just
contained.
cut myself off. Just this movie.
Yeah,
It's
it is hard, yeah.
Nobody ever talks about just this movie on its own. It's always the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Or more often than not, they talk about the second two. This one, I feel like, gets talked about the least, or like the bulk of it gets talked about the least. And it's usually just little bits of this.
Yeah. But we're just doing this movie.
Which is... It's tough with
Yeah.
Star Wars, man. It was the same with the Captain America episode. It's tough to take it out and analyze it on its own when
Yeah.
you know so much about
the rest.
everything else to do with it.
They committed like 100% to the costumes and the sets. I thought that was really cool.
There was one particular costume you took issue with.
Did I?
Do you remember? You don't remember?
No?
A certain costume that you were like, what the fuck is up with that?
No?
You serious?
Maclunkey?
A costume.
Yeah, that guy.
Greedo.
Greedo, yeah.
You didn't say anything. No. Are you serious?
Costume. Oh, Princess Leia.
Yeah, Princess Leia. You're a woman. I'll let you talk about that one.
How she wasn't wearing a bra.
Yep.
Like, I feel for her. She didn't have the smallest boobs, and she's running around, jumping up and down, and those things are just bouncing around. Like,
she's practically wearing a robe.
Yeah, it's just like just fabric. And I'm all for not wearing a bra. Women do women. But when you're jumping around and running, like, you just need the support.
She gets fairly into the action, and like she's running around, and like we're not like horrible perverts.
No.
But when they're just like,
it's white and
it's just going up and down the entire time.
I could feel her discomfort.
It was, and the story goes that George Lucas told her there aren't bras in space.
Yeah, that's just
I think
insane.
that's fantastic. It definitely was different after that.
I hope so.
In The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
In Return of the Jedi, she actually wears a metal bra.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you clearly haven't seen the scene that I'm talking about.
No.
Okay.
When you said costume, I was thinking of more like the creatures.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Outfit.
Yeah.
Well, we got there.
But yeah,
it's
like
a funny bit.
the Chewbacca and Greedo and like all those people in the bar, I suppose you say they were.
The cantina.
Yeah, like that was done really well, I thought. Everyone looked different and distinct.
Yeah, and you go so quickly from like this human conflict with maybe some droids and that, and there's was like weird things with the Jawas and the Tusken Raiders, the Sand People. And you're like, oh, that's some weird stuff, but they're vaguely human.
Yeah.
And then you go into the cantina and it's like, or even before that, but it's mostly like animals out there.
Yeah.
And then you go in there and it's like, what is any of this? Just monsters, basically. Which they don't, sorry, I covered my face. They don't lean into that hard enough later on, I think, in this movie. Because the Empire is just all humans
People,
again.
yeah.
And it's so strange. Like, I get that it's hard to just have aliens getting around doing stuff, but,
Yeah.
But I suppose it would have made it easier for the actors. Like, the main trio obviously don't really have any face coverings other than Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford were in Stormtrooper outfits some of the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, the main trio didn't really have anything like blocking them, I suppose. Nor did Alec Guinness, who played Obi-Wan Kenobi, obviously, or Peter Cushing, who played Grand Moff Tarkin. But like Darth Vader, who is probably the least threatening in this than he is in anything else.
Yeah.
Like in this, he's clearly a threat, but they hadn't hashed out his backstory or anything like that. And because the guy who I don't know if it's David Prowse, who played he played Darth Vader, and then James Earl Jones voiced him.
Okay.
The clips of him talking, like him, 'cause he's a lot more frantic.
Yeah.
In the first one, and he thought that he was just going to be playing Darth Vader, and he's a lot more like, this is a ship for the rebellion, and they called him Darth. Like the joke was he was like Darth Farmer, and he didn't sound threatening at all, and he was a lot more like quick with his movements. So James Earl Jones had to like match that energy to do the voiceover stuff.
Yeah,
and clearly it wasn't as intense.
Yeah,
and
no.
I remember Darth Vader as being a lot more like slower and being like
more scary.
Yeah, whereas in this
intense,
he's just a guy in a weird costume most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of focus on him, and he doesn't have that like villain feeling.
Yeah, which again, it's because like originally he was supposed to just be Darth Vader. He wasn't going to be Luke Skywalker's dad. There was artwork when this was going to be way more of a fantasy type thing of him having his base on Mustafar, which he does, but it was going to be like this evil castle with like gargoyles and shit before they changed it to him being just a guy who's in a robot suit.
Yeah.
And I might have all that twisted up, and I'm sure somebody will fucking let me know. But yeah, they really changed the character around a lot. And in this, he's a lot more like, you go do this and you go do that. Come with me. Let's take these guys down. As opposed to,
slow and...
I must destroy you.
Yeah.
And that sort of shit.
Yeah.
Which is, he's just a lot less menacing in this.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, Anthony Daniels, who played C-3PO, and Kenny Baker, who played R2-D2, they were in those robot suits. Kenny Baker's was pretty much about 90% of the cast has died.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say a big rest in peace to all of those who've passed away, because otherwise I'll miss one, and there's a lot,
Yeah.
And Peter Mayhew, who played Chewbacca, they were just obviously but the other two in robot suits the entire time.
Yeah.
And like you have to act and do all the movements and stuff while you're in this big suit.
Yeah.
And to convey the message that they did is pretty commendable.
Yeah.
I think. Other than that, it wasn't like that's pretty much like the main crew. And I think that there wasn't really anybody that did a bad job.
No.
I'd say my favorite was, I can't remember their names. People are screaming right now, just because I'm probably not naming people that they want me to name. But the two guys at the bar who have a go at Luke, and we see Obi-Wan Kenobi just slice his arm off. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone did a pretty good job with the acting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good that even though people didn't think this was going to work, they committed to it.
They still went for it, yeah.
Like even Alec Guinness was reported as saying like he knew like it wasn't his thing, but he got why it worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's old school.
Yeah.
Like real old school. So he's probably like, this is all dumb, but this is a job and I'll be professional.
Good
Yeah.
on him.
George Lucas as a director, I think, he didn't direct the two after this, and I don't know why, but I guess he just found it tiresome.
Yeah.
I actually didn't know that. He directed all of the prequels and a lot of the time in that. So maybe I think he's a lot better as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
He's created some fantastic worlds, and directing probably just isn't his forte, which is, it's fine. Some people are, I think being a writer is probably a better asset than being a director.
Yeah.
But as far as directing goes, the only thing that I could really fault him on with this was like there was a few meandering shots, especially early on, with like C-3PO and R2-D2, just like long shots of them walking.
Yeah.
But not like intense. It was just like.
Yeah, some shots lingered for a bit too long.
And like Luke running when he realizes that his home's probably been attacked, running all the way to the speeder.
Yeah, and then
when he gets back, and then hopping in and everything. And then when he gets back, the same thing, just hopping out. And it was even worse because he's walking all the way over to Obi-Wan. And it's like, okay, we get it.
Yeah,
like,
just cut.
Yeah, just he's there and then cut to them talking. But, could have been limitations.
Yeah.
Yeah. The score, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
No notes.
The score was amazing.
Yeah, excellent.
Probably some of the best I've ever heard.
Yeah, John Williams, man. He's, oh my God. Just, that should be no surprise. Like, he just, oh my God. Yeah, I mean, that's all like the behind the scenes stuff that we were thinking about.
Yeah.
But as far as like story goes, there's not too much to talk about. It's like we said before, it's pretty stock standard stuff. You took issue with the opening crawl. Would you like to defend yourself?
Yeah, people are going to hate me for this, and I know it's iconic and it's been like used heaps, but what is the point in the writing being slanted? Like, it'd be a lot easier to read if it just went across the screen normally.
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be iconic.
I know. But, like, what's the reasoning behind that? Were they just like, put it on a slant?
I think that originally it was because it was, like, a physical thing.
Like a scroll or something?
Like something like that. And it, like, slid across. But I think it was supposed to be, like, it was traveling out to space. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, because you would get a pretty similar idea. But if it just went up, I think it would be... You would focus on it less if it just went up like normal or just popped on screen like normal opening narration, written narration.
Yeah.
But
it was also a little too fast for me, but maybe I'm just a slow reader.
Yes, you are. You definitely are.
Okay.
The amount of times I've gone, hey, read this meme that's like 8 words, and you're like, oh.
10 minutes later.
Oh my God. But right after that, it's just bam, right into the action.
Yeah. Star
Destroyer, it's the name of the ship, coming over the other ship that I don't know the name of that I'm going to get murdered for. It's in there, and then the stormtroopers are coming out, bam, 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 and C-3PO and R2-D2 are like, oh my God, what's going on? It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
action straight up.
A lot of movies have copied this type thing.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. It's a great way to just... You're like, oh my God, this is clearly really serious.
Yeah, it grabs you right from the beginning. Yeah, that I can appreciate.
Yes.
Because I'm someone who's like, if you can't get me in the first, couple minutes, then I'm going to be bored.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're like my brother, my oldest brother. We sat down to watch Book of Eli.
Yeah.
This was years ago. That movie's full of action, but the opening is like in slow motion of him hunting the cat. And it was on for less than 30 seconds, and my brother was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
You're exactly like that.
Yeah.
I do like that Luke Skywalker, hero of the Empire, amazing Jedi Master, you know, like can fucking do anything later on, is introduced as like a whiny baby. But I was gonna go to Tashi Power Station. Tashi Station to get some power converters. Oh, so good.
I think the Force stuff with Luke Skywalker wasn't done well enough.
They don't do much in this movie.
Yeah, they talk about the Force a lot, and then he does that little bit with the lightsaber and everything, and then obviously at the end he saves everyone. But other than that, there's not really much about it.
Well, because he only just learned about it. Like this is like 4 days.
But you're like, oh, amazing Jedi Master.
Yeah,
but in
because
this movie,
I said later on. Like to think.
Do you mean later on in this movie?
No. To think of like Luke Skywalker, the man, the myth, the legend.
Okay.
You know, like he's like the fucking guy.
Okay.
Right?
Well, this movie,
he's introduced as a whiny baby teenager.
Yeah. Okay. And he just dips his toe in the Jedi stuff in this movie.
Yeah. Which fair enough.
Okay.
That's like, imagine if later today you were like, oh, some mails come. Oh, it's actually for old mate down the road. That's a bit, well, actually, our next door neighbour's a bit strange and he's old. Who's a bit weird. I'll take it over to him. And then when he was looking at it, our house just got bombed. And he was like, it's the fucking Empire. Come with me and I'll teach you how to do some magic tricks. And then in 3 days, you were like, Alakazam, and blew up fucking Empire State Building.
I suppose.
You wouldn't be like, I haven't learnt much. You'd be like, this is incredible and my family's dead.
True, I suppose. But just the Force in general and like Jedi stuff in this movie, it's not a lot. There's not much of it.
Yeah, I just realized that my mind went to Empire State Building.
Is that what you said?
Because I said Empire, but I was like, why did I say that when that's not even... That's just a building in New York.
Yeah.
Oh.
Anyway.
Sorry, the brain is a strange creature. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. There's not much Force stuff, but it's meant to be. What is the Force? And the whole idea is that he was supposed to get more training, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So he got cut off, and you know.
He just has an old man talking to him in his ear.
Yeah.
In his brain.
There's one good bit where he's flying along, no worries. And Obi-Wan's like, trust your feelings, Luke. And he's like, what the fuck was that? And he like has a bit of trouble. And I'm like, yeah, that would be really hard to deal with. You're in a situation you've never been before in your life. Like life or death stuff. In like, you know, he's flown jets and stuff, but like defending the galaxy.
Yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, I'm just gonna have a
little chat here.
Yeah. Trust your feelings, Luke. Just another thing, you say that the Force isn't touched on enough. Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are fucking incinerated in this movie.
Yeah.
And Luke is like, oh no. Anyway, let's get on with it. Yep. I'll come with you, Obi-Wan. Yeah, let's do it. Part of me watching this was like, Obi-Wan fucking killed those people. He did this. He was like, yes. And incinerated, and he's like, I'll make him come with me. Come with me.
Yeah, he didn't even cry or nothing.
Also, in that scene, only an Imperial stormtrooper would have this accuracy. They never successfully hit their mark in this movie.
Never.
Not even close.
Yeah.
The only time they get anywhere near it is when... No, actually... No, I'm thinking of when the others are shooting. No. Nobody gets hit in this movie.
No.
Nope.
Not even a skim.
Nope.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Nothing.
Pathetic. Obi-Wan is badass, but in like a cool samurai way, because the Jedi are supposed to be like samurais and all that, like noble and whatever. But he's definitely like got a screw loose in that scene where he cuts old mate's arm off. Just Obi-Wan fuck around and find out Kenobi.
Yeah.
Just he he's like, oh, no, don't even worry about it, lads. Don't even worry about this kid. And old mate's like, you know what? I'll pull a gun out.
Yeah.
And just, woo. You don't see it. I don't know if it was in the original. We'll never know. But you just see the arm and a bit of blood.
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah, but we see him go to do it, but you don't actually see him chop the arm off.
Yeah.
Yeah. What, did you think I closed my eyes?
Yeah.
Oh, too scary. Spoilers for, like, the Star Wars canon, but Luke and Leia are brother and sister.
Oh, yeah.
Dun, dun, dun. You don't find that out in this movie. Sorry, you don't find that out in this movie. You don't find that out in the next movie. You find that out in Return of the Jedi, which everybody knows that by now. You didn't somehow.
When you said it, I was like, oh yeah, I think I heard something about that.
Yeah.
But
she kisses him on the cheek, I think, 3 times in this movie, and he's like...
He clearly has a crush on
he's
her.
He's like, hey, Han, what do you reckon of her? And he's like, nah, not for me. And when Luke's like, good, Han's like, oh, some competition.
Yeah, very weird.
And then in the next movie, they do make out. I just need to address that. I just need to point out.
So why don't...
it goes somewhere and then it's quickly just shoved away.
Yeah, why didn't they change that? Just cut their makeout scene, or change it so it doesn't seem like he has a big crush on the princess, his sister.
In this movie, I think it's fine. Like
not
what
too
happened? It's
bad.
like, you know, he's not like, that fucking Princess Leia is so sexy. You know, he's not like, there's no like a lot of like loving eyes and stuff like that. It's very much, they're all caught up in the moment. And there's only like one bit when she kisses him and says for good luck and all that. But it's still pretty chill.
It can pass.
Yeah, but the next movie does some pretty horrible crimes against good taste.
Yeah.
It just gross. But maybe... Oh no, where was I going with this? Because they're spoilers for not just this movie, but like, come on. They're Darth Vader's kids.
Children, yeah.
Yeah, and he's all sorts of fucked up. So that's probably why they're all just mentally whatever, emotionally whatever, because her entire planet explodes.
Again, she doesn't really have much of a reaction to that.
She's like, no!
Anyway. Yeah.
Her entire planet. Gone.
Yeah, that was a big explosion too.
Obi-Wan has a bigger reaction.
Yeah.
He like clutches his chest and he's like, millions of voices cried out and then was silenced.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty poetic. And Leia's like, you're a little short for a stormtrooper, aren't you?
Yeah, she just goes and has a nap.
I was about to get out of here, fellas. Come on. Get into it. Yeah, she's just like, cool, whatevs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just like, oh, yep, we beat him. Good. I'll never... It's one of those things where you go, it's not just she'll never see her family again or her friends or anyone she's ever known other than, like, you know, from her planet. It's like she'll never smell certain smells again. She'll never see certain things. Like, it's just such an unfathomable loss.
Yeah.
And she was just like, coolsies.
Yeah.
You know, Luke can always go back to Tatooine and to his home and be like, I remember being here with my family.
Feel the dirt.
Yeah. Sand.
Sand, yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like, he's like, yeah, sand.
Yeah.
But she's just like, all right, that's gone forever. Maybe I can find some space rocks that'll remind me of home because they're just floating out in the nothingness. But I don't know.
She doesn't care. I don't care.
She has more emotion in the trash compactor scene where Luke gets pulled under.
Oh my god, that was so uncomfortable.
I loved it.
That whole scene.
I loved that it was just like a grimy pit. You know, it didn't look like something that they'd make to look dirty. It looked like they found an actual trash compactor and threw them in there. It was disgusting, and I loved it.
And with the creature in there and then the walls closing in, I was panicking hardcore.
It was awesome. It's like just so random, but works so well.
Yeah.
Just this huge curveball thrown their way.
Yeah.
I think that's was awesome.
Mm.
And like the fact that there's just like some horrible creature living on a space station
Yeah.
that just feeds on things like living things or meat or whatever that falls into the trash compactor. I think that's pretty sick.
And
Yeah.
the yucky water
Mm.
that it lives in. Ugh.
Ugh. And Luke was just in that.
Yeah, under
Yeah.
the water.
Ugh.
Oh,
Yuck.
yuck.
I don't know. There's not too much to talk about story-wise. Like, it was good.
The ending.
Yeah. I suppose, like, Vader not knowing what the hell was going on with Obi-Wan's death.
Yeah.
He just turned into a puff of smoke.
Yeah.
And he, like, is, like, touching his robes with his shoe. I thought it was a nice touch. Like, he's clearly like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
What was that?
I thought it was, like, a trick at first.
Yeah.
Because he sees Luke and then, like, gives up, I guess.
Yeah.
Because, yeah.
Because we've seen what happens when you hit things with a lightsaber. Your arm comes off.
Yeah.
In this movie. But outside of this movie, like just from Darth Vader's point of view, he's hit a lot of things with a lightsaber before. And almost always, if it's a person or an animal, they turn into a bloody heap.
Yeah.
So when he took a swipe and Obi-Wan just went...
Just disappeared, yeah.
Like,
that's why I thought
this?
it was a trick. I was like, oh, he'll be in the ship waiting.
Naked.
Yeah, when they go back, he'll be in there. He'll like just come out. But no, he never came back. Just in his mind.
Yeah. And as a spirit of the Force.
And then the ending with the medals.
Oh yeah, just before that, you took particular issue with the trench run. I think that's what it's called. Where they go down and shoot the rockets.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I think it's called the rule of 3. Where, you do it once and it doesn't work. Then you do another time and it almost works. And then the third time, yo! It happened in this, but like, it was so tedious. Even though I was like, yeah, get it.
Yeah, that scene
getting a bit much for me.
It went for so long, and it was just like the same thing over and over again. It would cut to like one of them in their flying ship, and then cut to Darth Vader, and then go back to them, and there's an explosion. Then back to Darth Vader, then back to them, then there's an explosion, and it's like, oh, all right, get on with it.
It was, and I think that a lot of that was just limitations of the time, the technology.
Yeah,
like it's pretty ambitious to be like, oh yeah, our entire finale is an outer space dogfight in space up against a space station.
Yeah,
I think we can do it. CGI doesn't exist, so we'll figure it out.
Yeah, I suppose that is cool, but I was just like,
and I can see why, considering every single one after this has like a conflict going on and then a lightsaber duel. It was pretty cool that this was just the one thing.
Yeah,
it was just like a big
yeah.
But yes, the medals. Why? Can somebody please tell us the significance of that? Because it doesn't ever come back. Like, I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah, what were the medals for?
And why just them?
Yeah.
Why not Wedge? Or because there was like three. Sorry, there was like three. There was like the Millennium Falcon, Luke's ship, Wedge's ship, and then another ship. So 4. Where were the other guys? Why didn't they get medals?
Yeah.
Because I know Wedge Antilles comes back. He's like a cool fighter pilot guy, and he's super famous in Star Wars, but I have no idea why. It must be in Legends or something.
Yeah. And not a single word is spoken.
Yep.
That ending.
Except for
scene.
That was a bad Chewbacca. I don't know how. What
You sound like a monster.
Well, he is a bit of a monster.
Anyway.
I can't do a good Chewie. You
that
try
was
it.
pretty good. No.
You try it. Anyway, what do you rate Star Wars, also known as Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope?
I'm still undecided, but I would say cash.
Oh, thank God.
It's not my type of movie. Like, I don't really like it,
Mhm.
but I can see why it was so influential and impactful. And
If you don't like it, then you should rate it trash.
I don't know.
Alright.
Are people going to hate me if I rate it trash? It's hard to rate
Probably.
it cash because I know, like, for its time, how good it is and how much it changed, like,
Yeah.
movies.
And that's the thing. It's hard to get into that mindset of, like, when did this come out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for, like, it's cash versus trash. So I'm going to say cash.
Yeah.
It'd be a bit too harsh to say trash.
Cash from me also.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty strong cash. This is probably the most influential film of all time.
Mm.
Just, I think not since maybe The Avengers. Sorry. Yeah, The Avengers has been the only thing since this.
Mm.
Not the only thing, but one of the big things that changed.
Yeah.
Or maybe Iron Man, because it wasn't just like this one movie, but this like kicked it off. So maybe since like Iron Man, things have been different. But after this movie came out, it just like rewrote the game.
Yeah,
It was pretty
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
So there you go. Those are the 3 movies that you should pay attention to: Citizen Kane, Star Wars, New Hope, and Iron Man. No, yeah. I mean, it's obviously cash. Like, This is
Yeah.
a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that it's good. I just don't like it. I can appreciate it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not my type of movie.
And I think that that's the mark of a good critic.
Yeah.
That you should look at like what is good and bad about it and try not to be subjective.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Cool.
Like when we did Bad Moon, and I was like, I like it, but this movie is objectively bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fuck, yeah. We'll
That's the end of spoilers.
Yep, that's the end of spoilers, and we'll
See
something.
See you on the other side.
Boom. Alrighty, well that brings us to the end of Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope.
Mm-hmm.
This one, it was kind of hard to talk about, to be honest.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like we were just going through like certain things about it
Yeah.
sometimes there, because
It's hard to keep it contained to this movie and not talk about all the others.
yeah, there's that, and also like it's hard to like when a movie is just solid, it's hard to talk about. Because this movie isn't, like, outrageously good.
Yeah.
And it's not really bad. Like, when we were talking about the bad stuff, it was easy. With
Yeah.
the changes, it's dumb changes.
Yeah.
But it was easy to talk about that stuff. Whereas, like, the good stuff we're talking about, we're like, yeah, it's good. And that was good. And that was
Yeah.
good. Whereas, and then it's really hard to be that way, on a podcast, to just be like, it was solid. Pretty good. It was like a B plus. Yeah, it was pretty good.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like, even though what they did was like the start of something new,
Yeah.
it was still
Raw.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas like Pirates of the Caribbean, we can talk about like the insane CGI and,
Yeah.
and all of that. But the stuff that they did was pretty small scale, even though it was really good.
We saved the entire galaxy.
I mean, like with costumes and
Oh,
sets
yeah.
and special effects and practical effects.
I think that because we will be coming back to talk about The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi at some point. Hopefully in order, but that's the luck of the draw. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if anything changes, because those movies, from what I remember, they all seem to be like on the same scale. But I haven't watched those in a long time. Just like
Yeah.
this, I hadn't watched it for a fair while. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah. Yeah. It was cash.
Yeah.
Cash money, baby. Why don't you tell the good people where they can find us?
Sure thing. If you'd like to support us, we'd really appreciate it. We have a Patreon. We also have an Instagram. Our handle is @CashVersusTrashPod. Our listening apps are Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and a few more.
Yeah, a bunch.
Yeah, but those are like the popular
yeah,
ones.
the big ones we're on.
Yeah. And you can also find us on YouTube. All the links will be in the description, so just follow it there.
Mm-hmm. Please give us a like, subscribe, rate, review.
Tell your friends.
Tell your friends, share us around, all that good stuff.
Yep.
Please. And if you want to get in contact with us, you can message us on Instagram or comment on YouTube, please. Or the best place to do it would be to email us at cashversustrashpod@gmail.com. To go straight to me. But I think that I'd really like it if people left a review.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a nice way to let us know publicly.
Yeah. Tell us how we're doing.
Please. Please. This is the end of 1977 part 1. Up next is Fraternity Row. And you might be saying, Fraternity Row? I don't think that was down that far. Even, I don't think it was down about 200, which is, that we do out of the top 200.
Yeah.
It was number 35.
Yeah.
We couldn't find anything else. There was no other information on movies released that year except to number 35. To be honest, who gives a shit?
Yeah. It was 1977.
Yeah.
We'll give it a pass.
Anyway, this has been the Cash vs. Trash podcast.
See ya.